damn thing. All night long. Vibe is right. Mood is on. Time is here. Let's get it on. Vibe is right. Mood is on. Let's do the damn thing. All night long. Make me happy. I'm your daddy. So just slide over, come here with me. Grab the drinks, I got the treats. I hope you're ready for this challenge. Cause I've been right here waiting long. Let's do the damn thing all night long. Vibe is right, mood is on, time is here. Let's get it on. Vibe is right, mood is on. Let's do the damn thing all night long. Vibe is right, mood is on, time is here. Let's get it on. Vibe is right, mood is on. Let's do the damn thing all night long.
This is the Intelligent Human Voice Podcast Network. I'm your host, the PatMan, from the Bay to LA and beyond. Let's do the damn thing. Do the damn thing. Give a shout out to Genesee Lewis. He is the production and the power behind that awesome track that we created. You won't believe when we created that. It was at least about 20-something years ago. 20 years ago was what? The year 2000? In the year 2000. 13 tracks of awesomeness. That's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother podcast in which I want Jen to be here when we talk about it, because it was an astronomical, awesome energy project that we accomplished in a matter of no time. Literally, I'm not kidding you. We were just recording. Jen would call me up like, "Yo, P, I got this song. It goes like this. All right, be there in a second." I would get there by any means necessary, on BART, in the car, on a bicycle. And you know, I rode a beach cruiser from Hayward to El Cerrito. True story. This is the Intelligent Human Voice Podcast Network. I'm your host, the PatMan. I hope I put it out there that I'm going live today at noon. I wasn't expecting to go live at noon. I think I'm gonna do that like all the time. I think I'm gonna just go at noon all the time, set the parameters. So if you subscribe and follow on the link that I have on Facebook and that I have on my Instagram at Ponderoso Pucho, you'll be able to get those notices that we're going live, and then you can call in or chat. You can chat with me if you have something that you want to talk about or something that you want to add to the conversation. That's what podcasting is. Imagine, I don't think many people are grasping the concept of what the power of podcasting. It's basically you are in control of your own radio show. Now or your own talk show, or whatever it is you want to do. In my case, I can play my own music. I can talk about what I want to talk about. There's no engineers it's just me. There's no we. It's just me. And it's my insight. Some shows are scripted, some aren't. Like today's not scripted. I just have a few ideas and things I want to talk about. And there's a few people that I've interacted with over the course of past couple weeks who have businesses that I really want to promote. And that's another thing. You have your own radio show. You can promote the people that you like, the services that you like, the products that you like. There's monetization efforts. This is a no-brainer, people. So if you got a service, again, I'm put out there, if you got a service, a product, a thing, something positive that you want to promote and you don't know how to get it going yet, give me a call. give me a holler. Let's get you on the show. It's as easy as me packing up my laptop, meeting up wherever you are, and we just rock and roll just like that. Old school radio show. That's what's up. So yeah, the song you heard was "Do the Damn Thing," produced by Genesee Lewis, aka Jen Starr, Noble House Music. Jen's back in the Bay Area doing his thing. We're going to connect real soon and do some things. I want to give some awesome shout outs to some of my Bay Area folks that are in the Bay Area from the East Coast. Hey, if you've been in the Bay Area longer than 10 years, you're Bay Arean. How about that? You're a Bay Arean. Give a shout out to Max Perry, awesome producer. That's Jen's little brother. He's out there doing the thing. I want to give it out to Ironius. I don't have everybody's names that I want to give a shout out to the Noble House crew, but you know who you are. I want to give a shout out to the whole entire Noble House crew. We're going to do something. I got to be a part of that as well. Give a shout out to my boy Jacory and Genevieve. They were in the Bay Area, got the car broken into. That was not cool. Somebody is walking around with my boy's camera. You need to return his camera. That is his baby. I got a camera. I got a few cameras, and I'm telling you, it's like, it's not cool. But you know what? We move forward, and there's a lot of crazy stuff going in the world, but it's the world. It's all external. You have to go back in, learn from your lessons, and move forward. That's all you can do. That's all you can do, people. I want to give a shout out also to the Adams Gateway. It's called Adams Gateway. I discovered this place. Now, peep this. I've been here in LA for like 15 years. I can't believe I've been in LA for 15 years. But anyway, I've been here for about 15 years. I'd never known of this place. It's not too far from like the corner of Fairfax and Washington. It's 5840 West Adams Boulevard. Great little community. They threw this Valentine's Day shopping Soiree. What you call it? Soiree? SOIREE. But all these little businesses had so much to offer. Sorella Collective, she had some awesome food items there. There was the Madeleine Grill Vietnamese truck who was there also. Red Rose Tarot. You have the Summer and Someday shop, JMM Ceramics. And I met each and every last one of them. Oh, yeah, Cracker Jack Tattoo. The Hair Finery was there. The brother over there at Clippery When Wet. Tantu. I met, I believe her name was Janet. I have her card somewhere. But she had been at Abbot Kinney with a shop, and we talked for a minute. She was giving me some of the history of some of her awesome jewelry. She has some awesome jewelry and stuff that you'll never find anywhere else. She's been on the planet for quite a while. She's been doing her jewelry purchasing and selling for quite a while. And it's an awesome little community. You got to check it out if you're in LA, and just go from there. More shout outs to, I got to give a shout out to LACDJR.com, Los Angeles. They took over management for Motor Village Jeep in downtown LA. That's where I got the Jeep Renegade. And I'm bringing this up because they've been really, really awesome the whole time I've leased the Jeep Renegade. Mario and his crew, just great service, and it reminds me of why I leased a vehicle from them in the first place. The whole time I was there, I didn't have to take care of any oil changes. I didn't have to take care of anything. It's like if there was a problem, service light went off on my car, I'd drive it in, they make an appointment. If I need to go somewhere, they would drop me off, and they would, call me and send me a text saying, yo, your car is ready. You can pick it up. Just a awesome, great experience. That's why I didn't mind leasing from them. The lease is up as of a couple days ago, but I'm turning the car in tomorrow. And they partnered with Allied Financial to help with the leasing of the vehicle. So I just want to give a shout out because I like giving shout outs to positive services that are helping me in real time, as they might help you one day. So if you're in the market for leasing a vehicle, I highly recommend Jeep. I wish I had bought a Jeep like many moons ago because it was a great driving experience, with the exception of a few things like the moonroof not working in the last 5 weeks of the lease. But that's a whole nother story. I'm going to have a conversation with Jeep themselves. Nothing to do with the dealership. Anyway, today we're going to talk about origins. We're going to talk about origins and reset. My life has been bananas. Now, I know your life has been bananas. I know you've been going through some stuff, hoops and turns and twirls, and we got new people in office. We got stuff going on with entertainers and entertainers passing, and just a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff to take on, people, but I'm here to tell you that is all external things. They're going to happen regardless. Nothing to do with you. What has to do with you is you. And on that note, I'm going to read what I posted today on my Facebook, because I like to post really positive, awesome stuff on Facebook, and then I get off. I don't get into all the politics that I just don't get into commentary and politics and stuff, with the exception of what happened to my boy Jacory. So let me read what I posted. That just, when spirit speaks, it speaks through the fingers. It goes from the top of the crown and to the fingers, and that's how I create music. That's how I do everything. So let me read this for you, and then I'm gonna get off into origins. I'm going to promote another small business that I have done business with in the past 6 months, or came across what they're doing, and we'll take it from there. So here we go. Here's the post of the day off of my Facebook. I can actually create a business off this. I mean, an audio book off of my Facebook and Instagram posts, because I always keep it positive, and it's always just coming through to me from spirit itself. So here we go. We will all laugh about this post one day. So take time out right now to inhale and exhale like never before. Close your eyes, go deep, and just breathe. Do it with a smile on your face, and not with your chest, but expanding your belly outward and then inward. The neurons in your brain are lighting up when you do this with a sincere smile. Keep breathing. It is working right now. Singers know this technique because breathing is done by way of filling up the air just below the belly, the diaphragm, just before your chest muscles. The reason I'm taking you through this exercise is that you have forgotten how to breathe. Unless you're a singer or practice meditation. I said meditation. I did say meditation, didn't I? I did. It is meditations. Why does it sound funny saying that? Meditate. Do you meditate? I meditate. Go into your meditations and mindfulness. You haven't learned how to breathe like this since you were a baby, and only then you did it naturally. I'm taking you back to your childhood, a time of innocence, a time of unknowing, because in truth, you still do not know. You have been distracted in a major way. The joke is on you. You've been hijacked by your surrounding environment, situations, beings, and occurrences, all external things. Nothing to really do with you at all. This is why we're getting back to you, the real you. Continue for the next 3 to 5 minutes of inhaling and exhaling as you've never done since you entered the womb. The neurons in your brain will immediately begin to fire up, and you will feel the best you've felt in years. We will laugh about this one day, the day you returned to being the real you, the day you learned what God had put into you many moons ago, the breath of life. Namaste, amen, hallelujah, and so it is. Bless you, love you. Go back and listen to the podcast. I'm on episode number 41 today. That's right now. And it's all about you, the fabulous you that the supreme creator being gifted you eons ago. Nothing to do with the imposter that's been playing you, literally. We will laugh and hug about this one day soon. Find peace. I'm Mr. Anderson. I am love. Share. Okay, that's my boy chiming in. Jacory. I sent him a personal message and he received it. Awesome. Good stuff, brother. Good stuff. Good stuff. That's why we're here, man. We're here to lift each other up every way that we can. I'm going to send a message to him and say, just remember to do it. Just remember. See, this is the awesome thing about podcasting. It's live. It's right now. If you're tuning in, it's just real like this. Just remember to do it, brother. That's what I'm gonna say. Just remember to do it. I need a mic stand. My mic stand is in storage. Just remember to do it, brother. Call me anytime. All right, here we go. Send this to avoid your Corey real quick. All right, here we go. I want to talk about origins, and in particular, my own origin. Let me tell them I'm live right now. I'm live on the podcast. I'm live on the podcast. Listen in. Check my links. All right. On Facebook. All right, here we go. A lot of people, I do not have Facebook on my phone for a reason. It's a little distracting. I can only have one social media platform on my phone, because it's a little distracting. And that would be Instagram. If you listen to the show, you probably could follow me on Instagram. Ponderosa Pucho, Pondorosa Pucho, Pucho, all one word. You'll see my handsome face and hit follow, and we can interact like that. I have a lot more interaction, a lot more friends on Instagram than I do Facebook, and I've seen that too. It's like all the older generation of folks are on Facebook, and all the coming generations, millennials and whatnot, are on Instagram. So I'm kind of in between worlds here, and I love it. I love it. So I want to talk about Origins and Reset. I may have reset my life. At least I can name 5 different instances or experiences in which I hit a point in my life where I had to reset my life. And I'm not ashamed to talk about that. I'm not, I want to talk more about it because I know I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one. And from each reset, from each awakening, you can call it awakening if you want, I learned something about myself every one of those resets. And this most recent awakening was something else. It was something else, literally, because folks don't know. I don't post stuff on Facebook whenever something tragic or traumatic happened to me. I'll just post something like, oh, this happened, blah, 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 blah. Or I'll just say something where folks then chime in and go, yo, what's going on? Everything good? Yo, you the most positive dude I know. And, it's going to be good. You're going to burn through this. And I really, really, really sincerely appreciate people who have chimed in and given me those messages, because we need, if you really believe, and I believe that we are connected on a global, galactic level of inspiration, godliness, godlikeness. If you really believe that, then you know that when people reach out to you and give you these positive vibrations, that's God working through each and every one of us. Now, I'm going to talk about this too. The energies that are not positive, that are not good for you, and you know this by your own intuitiveness, by your experience, what is good for you and what is not. You just got to do away with it. You got to cut it off like a piece of cheese. You know how you cut some cheese and you just kind of put it to the side? You got to cut it like that and just move it to the side. That's what you got to do. Because it's not for you. Unfortunately, when you're going through it, it's kind of hard to balance and decipher what is for you and what's not for you. I'm sure people have great intentions when they're reaching out to you and trying to give you a blurb of positive, hopefully it's positive, response. You just got to be able to figure out what's good and what's not. Now, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you a great example of reset and origins of who I am and who I've become. I feel like, and I spoke about this on a previous podcast, that I've been awakened since I was in the womb. And what I mean by that is that I've been conscious before, I came onto planet Earth, before I entered into the womb of my mother, before, existence came into play. We are extensions of God. And I totally 100,000% believe that and know that, because there are things that I know and have known about life and about journey and about struggle and about positive vibrations, metaphysical energy that I've known, but I had to grow into knowing. And depending on your environment, depending on your upbringings, depending on the people that are in your life, those things can dumb you down. It can distract from who you are, and it makes you forget. It makes you forget. This is real stuff. There are energies out there that will attach to you and make you forget. I became enlightened very long time ago. A very long time ago. As you know, the environment that I was growing up around wasn't conducive to a positive outlook on life. And as a child, I knew this. So, but I couldn't prove a lot of things. I always felt like there was something going on that I didn't know about, in particular in reference to my family. And I received that truth, this week. I received what I had been feeling all this time. It was like I knew it. I knew it was something. And once it became a knowing, I'm 100. I am 1,000% okay. I am all right. I'm better than all right. I'm great. I'm great, like Tony the Tiger great. You know, Tony the Tiger, you're great. I'm that great, because this whole time I was feeling like it was me. It was something so off that I didn't know that it was affecting relationships. It was affecting female relationships, girlfriends. It was affecting work. It was affecting, and I've had some great jobs over time. There's no reason. Excuse me, gotta drink some chai tea here. I've had great jobs. I've had great experiences in jobs. I've been working since I was 16. That kind of work ethic, that I've carried throughout life. I've never been fired from a job in my life, except this one company. They let me go. But that's a whole nother. And literally, they let me go because my register came up short like $2, and it came up short another $2 again. Then it was like $20, and I was like, am I just sleepy? Am I giving people the wrong change? No, it was this guy who had a key. He was a redhead. I'll never forget it because he was almost albino, but he had red hair, really pale skin, and he had a key to my drawer. And I was like, dude, where'd you get that key? I've always had a key. I was like, I couldn't prove it though. Anyway, they were nice about it, and I was young. I signed some papers, and they had to let me go. Outside of that, I've always held a great job because I like working. I like interacting with people. I like organizing. I don't bull jive. I don't want to curse. I don't bull jive people, and I'm just a straight real dude. That's just who I am. So, but in the past, 3 or 4 years or so, or actually I'll go back a little further. In the past 10 years, I really was starting to feel this thing. And I reached out to a few ministers. I reached out to a rabbi. I reached out to a Reiki instructor. I reached out to a Buddhist monk. I prayed. I didn't pray like I should have been praying, though. I'm not going to say that. It wasn't until I got into yoga and meditations. Why does it sound weird? Meditations. It's. Am I saying it wrong? It feels like I'm saying. Anyway, I got deep into the metaphysical realm of things that opened me up. It opened me up to things I knew. It was more like awakening. It was the reset button. It was like pushing the reset button. Getting into yoga and meditations. I don't know why it's sounding weird today, like I'm saying it wrong, like I'm saying you got to meditate. I'm confusing it with mediate. Meditations is to know it, and to really know it, you have to look up this guy on YouTube. His name is Barry Long. And let me take you back to a thing. Before I go into Barry Long, I'm going to play another song. How about that? I'm going to play a song also from the archives of some music that Jen and I created 20 years ago, if you can believe it. Still relevant today, still timeless. It's called It's On. It's on the Intelligent Human Voice Podcast Network. Are you ready? Here you go.
stepping out of the pad. Patiently waiting for the evening. Fresh new kicks when I step on the app. It's going on. DJ Juice play my favorite song. When it's time to hit the bar up, get drunk. When it's time to hit the dance floor, get drunk. It's on. 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 Girls as they're walking by, got my eye on the show, hey. Do what I gotta do to make her mine. And now's the time to spit the game, drop a line. If you're ready for the throwdown, let's roll. If you're ready for the showdown, let's go. It's on. It's going on and on, on and on, on and on. It's on.
That's It's On by the PatMan himself. That song brought back so many memories. I performed that in Oakland and San Francisco with the Noble House crew, and it was awesome. It's on, and it's a trip because when I moved to LA over 15 years ago, I had the demo, 13 songs. And what you've heard hasn't been mastered. It hasn't been mastered. It was raw. It was stuff that we created, and I moved to LA, and I tried to fit in where I can get in, and cats just wasn't feeling me. They just were not trying to put me on. It was so weird, and I was meeting some really famous, musicians and whatnot. It was a trip. So I was like, all right, I got a plan. I'm smarter than these dudes anyway. Seriously. So I started to build my own studio over time. $25,000 later, I got the Orgin 3. I got 2 digital recording recorders made by Roland. They have like 13 tracks apiece, 10 virtual tracks on each track. So it's like 100 tracks over here and 100 tracks over there. And then I started a radio show. I had a radio show called the Jake O'Neill Show. So I'll talk about that one time. But how I was able to plug my music and get my music on the radio was that I pay to play. You pay to play to become a DJ. They train you in their studios. This was in Hollywood, off of I believe Sunset. Little incognito's place. You wouldn't even know this place existed. I found it in the back of one of the magazines. So, want to be a DJ? I called the number, and they're like, yeah, we do training. You come through, you basically pay, and we put you in a slot, and you're on the air. Next thing you're on the air, and you just have to play like 30-second commercials and this, that, and the other. I was like, done, over it, on it, done. In between playing some Barry White or some Anita Baker, as Jake O'Neill. Well, check out this guy. His name is Mr. Anderson from the Bay Area. He calls this one It's On. And I would play my music, and, the slot moved from, I had like a slot like 5 o'clock in the morning. And then every time like a DJ move up, at that time, XM radio wasn't even a thing. It was just becoming a thing. And so I moved up on the ladder. As people were moving out, I moved up to, I was 1 o'clock on Sundays. Sundays at 1 o'clock, if you turn to this one station, you would hear me playing this music, playing the little commercials here and there. And doing my thing and playing my songs, and that's how it worked. My money started to get funny, and so I had to get a real job. I had to get back into the facility management realm, and I never went back to do the radio thing because the project of facility management was 8 years in the making. So that's what I've been doing for the past 10 years of the past 15 years, was building a Jewish temple in Hollywood, Temple Israel of Hollywood. If you pass by Hollywood Boulevard, Runyon Canyon is right there. That's the temple that Pat built. Yes, real talk. And but in between that, and I'm bringing this up before I go into Barry Long, how I got into meditation. Why does it sound? Why? I got to look at the word because I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Before I got off into meditations, the way to de-stress from all the nonsense in the world, all the negative energy that goes with, just a 9 to 5, or to be able to combat all that, I bought this equipment. I bought the Orgins 3, and I had a house in Culver City. I found the perfect house, and I'll tell the story later on how I got that house. And it was a 2-bedroom home, so one of the homes was my studio with my music, and I would come home every day, no matter what was going on, from 9 to 5. I was out of there by 4:30, and I was at home creating music and learning everything I'd already known over the years, from being a drum corps major to being teaching myself piano. Well, I can't say I taught myself. It always sounds weird to say, "Oh, I'm a self-taught pianist." Well, not really. And going into the origins, mostly my origin. I grew up in the church. My grandfather, we had a piano in the church. My grandfather would not let us play the piano. Don't play that dang piano. You're going to get it out of tune. And I was like, yeah, well, that's why you pay somebody to put it back in tune, or I could tune it. But, my grandfather wasn't thinking like that. Anyway, so I always wanted to play the piano. And since I couldn't play the piano, I joined the drum corps. And I was in the drum corps from like the 4th grade through the 8th grade. Had this music teacher, Mr. Ford. Mr. Ford was the music teacher, and I think he was the only music teacher in all of Oakland, because he would go from school to school to school teaching bands and instruments and the whole nine. And so I was in the drum corps for about 4 years until they took music out of public schools. Yes, you heard it right. They canceled the music programs in public schools. This was the 80s, y'all. This was the 80s. I could not believe it. And but by then I had already learned how to play the piano, classical music. Every year my keyboards got bigger and better. Every Christmas, started off with these Casio keyboards, learning how to play the piano by sight, because it would light up, and then you had the keynotes, and then every keyboard just got bigger. And I never thought about, I never considered having my own studio, because I was always being introduced to a producer or new folks who had their own equipment. And I was like, yo, well, all right, I'll be the singer. I'll learn how to sing. All right, so I took voice lessons at Laney College. Miss Kittredge was the voice teacher at the time. And if it sounds familiar from you, and you're from the Bay Area, Miss Kittredge was I believe she was a dancer and a singer, very eloquent, beautiful woman. She taught voice, and she was the husband of my piano teacher, who I can't remember his name right off the back. Renowned piano player who taught at Laney College. And so I did, even though I had the years of experience working on these little Casio keyboards, sampling, doing whatever, I wanted to build upon my skills more professionally in music. So I signed up for a business administration class at Laney. I took a voice class, and then I took the piano class. While I was at Laney, I had a job at the Cal bookstore, Cal Berkeley bookstore. So while I was at the bookstore, that was a great experience. That's a whole nother podcast as well. I joined the Young Inspiration Gospel Choir at Cal Berkeley. What's up, Monique? What's up, EJ? What's up, the whole crew? It was, peep this. This is so cool. It was 60 of the flyest, beautiful women at Cal Berkeley, all nationalities, in the choir. It was just an amazing, every Friday night. I committed to Friday nights being a part of this choir. And that's when I really learned. It was under the direction of Sylvester Henderson. Sylvester is a master pianist. He would walk around and he could tell who wasn't singing and who was. And he would shift people around, and then when he go back to the piano and I was like, dang, how does he do that? How does this guy do that? He's so tuned. So I learned a lot of that from him. And then, music, going, being in church all this time, directing the choir, being a part of the choir, children's churches, teaching children how to sing. And I remember someone long time ago asked me, they were like, oh, I can't sing. I was like, anybody could sing. Anybody could sing. And it's what I never forget. That's what Sylvester had said. He said, singing is basically mimicking. You're mimicking. You mimic what you hear, and you hear it long enough, you can do it. And then you learn how to do it and put your own twist on it. That resonated with me, and I just, even though I was creating these songs with Jen and other producers, like one of the first producers I worked with was my boy Charles Wright, a jazz musician, self-taught pianist, one of the baddest on the planet. Charles, you need to break out your piano again, dude. We need to do work. It was Charles, and then Dion Evans, rest in peace. Dion was one of the producers for Tupac. I was part of this group called G-Men. It was four of us, boy Pierre, boy Kev, boy Kijere, and we performed a couple of times at Cal Berkeley. We were an a cappella group because we were Dion was working on a few tracks for us, and we did a few tracks with him, and we didn't really have our own studio, so we were kind of in between Boys II Men and Jodeci. We did a photo shoot and everything. We were moving forward until we signed with this manager who heard us singing. We were walking around. I'm remembering all this as I'm talking right now. That's why this show is talking about Origins and Reset. We were walking. I believe we were in Oakland. We're walking down the street. And we were singing, we were harmonizing. We were always singing somewhere, meeting up, going to parties, and then we would sing and harmonize. And we passed by this parking lot, and this lady walked up to us like, my God, you guys, are you kidding me? How long have I been singing this, that, and the other? She made some connections, said she knew a guy. We met this guy. We sang for him. Now that I'm thinking about it, there was a couple other producers. I can't remember this guy's name, but he was awesome. He lived in East Oakland. We would go over his place and record. So I've been working with various producers over the years before it got to this point of me producing my own music. And for me, it was all about working and doing things together, collaborating with these artists. My boy Dex. Now, my first time in the actual studio on singing was a makeshift studio my boy had built. My boy Dex, rest in peace, Bobby Fully Love, had introduced us to Dex. Now, by then, I'm skipping around the story a little bit. The guy that we had signed up for as a group had disappeared as soon as we signed the contract. Now, here's the thing. I was hesitant about signing the contract because this guy gave me a bad vibe. I just didn't trust him. I really didn't. And I was the last one to sign the contract because I was like, dude, if you guys want me to do this, I'll do it. I was like, but I'm telling you, I don't trust this guy. The very next day, we're calling him like, yo, because he's supposed to book studio time. He puts this woman on the phone and she's like, oh, he's out of town, blah, 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 blah. And so. This went on for 2 days. And I said, see what I told you? We end up talking to one of his buddies who he had introduced us to. He was like some big producers in Oakland, McElroy. I want to say Foster McElroy. Maybe it was those guys. They had called out and they were like, yo, this dude, man, he's got a bad streak. Somebody else said he was on crack. Somebody else said he was, he's done this before. Either way, he had disappeared. So we had to figure out a way to get out of this contract because it was pretty much what you hear about other artists. And here's the thing, we hadn't even recorded anything. We hadn't even gotten to that point. This guy had signed us to a management contract, all these promises, and basically disappeared because he started doing crack. I guess he got too excited that he saw the money before the money was being made, and thank God that was God working with us and through us to get us out of that contract. We found some lawyers right away. I believe it was Keisha Ray's mom or friend who actually got us out of the contract, saw some language that was in there, and that's how we got out. That kind of put a sour note in my mouth about singing and music and everything. I then started working at the Lakeview Club. The Lakeview Club was smack dab in the middle of Oakland. I'm not sure who owns it. It's like 27 floors up. You can see the lake. You can see all of Oakland, the East Bay, and on the other side was San Francisco. Excuse me. The whole time I was working there, I was a assistant maitre d', which meant I assisted the maitre d' who trained me in 5-star restaurant etiquette. I had to wear a tuxedo, and when I first started, I was bussing tables. I would bust the tables, but I worked when I say 5-star members only. That means it was a members only country club style setting. There was various rooms throughout, and members could reserve these rooms. I worked in a la carte. I didn't work in the catering. They did a lot of weddings and parties and whatnot. I didn't participate in that. I was part of the a la carte team, and so we would have members would reserve tables, and I would serve them the dessert, bring the dessert cart up. I would make sure their coffee was filled, make sure they had water all the time, and we would we would walk around with our chests out and professional manner. It was so cool. That was so cool. Now bring that up because they had a quartet. They had a band. They had a band that would play every Friday night. These 3 old white dudes. They were cool. They weren't old white, but they were older white dudes. Bass player, guitar player, grand piano. And these guys were bad. They could play anything. And at the time, I was a rest his soul, James Ingram. I was a James Ingram fan, loved his voice, and I was like, dude, and Ray Charles. So I was like, dude, do you know Natural Man? He's like, oh, I think I know Natural Man. It's like the one with Aretha Franklin. I was like, yeah. I said, but it's gonna be Natural Man because James Ingram made a Natural Man version. He's like, oh yeah, I can do that. He's like, what else? Well, so we would think about different songs, and I think I did Georgia on My Mind by Ray Charles. But peep this. So, in between busting tables, because here's the other thing before I go into that. The maitre d' actually was training me because he was exiting his position. He had been there for a while. So his position was being passed down to the secondary waiter, which was Jim Higgins. Jim became the maitre d'. I became the assistant maitre d' in Jim's position. Then there was Hing, who was the runner, and then there were all the chefs, the sous chefs, Craig and Chef Michael and then Chef Roberts. I can't believe I'm remembering all this stuff right now, because it was just a great experience. That's why I remember it. In between that, we would, so I was the waiter, so I would start waiting tables, while Jim was at the front, and he would wait in between. But in between the waiting tables, the band would, on Fridays, like, yo, Pat, you gonna sing? You gonna jump in? Or he would say it on the mic. No, we're gonna have Patrick jump on the mic real quick. He gonna give us some vocals and blah blah. And members looking around like, what's going on? Because remember, it wasn't the same members all the time, but it caught on. It caught on that the guy that you'd be talking to, waiting your tables and whatnot, and I wouldn't say anything to anybody. I would just, like, Jim, yo, you good? He was like, yep. And I would get up with these guys and start singing. It was such an awesome feeling. My God, I couldn't believe I was doing it, but it was fun. To me, it was fun. And people would get up out their chair, and old people and whatnot, and they start dancing. We had a dance floor, and they would start dancing, and I was like, wow, this is happening. This is bananas. And that was cool. That was way cool. Now I go back to waiting tables, and people, oh my God, it's amazing. Oh, this, that, and the other. And I did that for a while. And I think in between that time, it was either before or after. I think it was before or maybe during. No, it was during. It was definitely during. That was when the time I met Dex. Dex was an engineering major at Cal Berkeley. He was the one that my boy Bobby had introduced us to. And Dex had his place, I believe it was in Alameda, and we would go over there. And when I say we, that was me and Pierre. So we had broken up as a group after the contract issue. We were broken up as a group, and me and P started a group. Fully was like, yo, man, y'all can sing, y'all can still do this. You gotta stay with the music. You gotta stay with the music. He's like, yo, you need to meet our boy Dex. So Dex had some music and stuff that he had been creating, but he hadn't worked with any artists or singers other than this one female singer. And I was like, yo, let's do this. Let's bring your songs to life and bring some of our songs to life, and let's do this, yo. So we did it. He ended up moving out of his spot into, no, I don't think it was Alameda. Yeah, it was Alameda. And then he ended up, he had roommates, and then he moved into his own spot. Then when it came to the mastering part, he moved all this stuff into my house. I had a house that was renting in Berkeley at the time. And anybody know about that house? I threw parties. I always threw parties. I always had alcohol, even though I didn't drink as much. I had alcohol for my friends because it was just fun, and I would cook all the time. We worked on a album called Jahari, and I came up with the acronyms. I believe it was jazz and Jahari. Jazz and harmony, artistically and rhythmically innovated. I wrote that down. I remember I was like, yeah, Jahari, that's what we would stand for. And it was me and P. We had photo shoots, the whole nine. We created like maybe like 13 songs back to back. And, we got to, and the songs were, whatever. I was like, I could sing anything. I could, we can write anything. And we wrote everything. We collaborated on everything. And when it got to our songs, oh my God, when it got to our songs, like the songs and ideas that I had about music, and basically my idea about how I wanted to be portrayed in music was the route that Jodeci was doing. But here's the thing, Jodeci hadn't come out yet. Jodeci had dropped maybe one song, or they had done this thing on MTV. It was maybe one song, but it wasn't before Forever My Lady had come out. And I remember when Forever My Lady came out, I just dropped the mic. I was like, this is what I'm talking about, hip hop music, hip hop production music with singing on top. And by then, the East Coast, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, aka Sean Combs, he was doing it. He had Mary J. Blige out, he had Jodeci, and he was just doing it big time. I was like, now it's going to look like we're copying, dude. Now it's not, but we can still do this. Anyway, we had creative differences. We created the album, Jahari, and the deal was that we were supposed to bring our songs to life, and D had a whole nother idea. He's like, he started writing pie charts and stuff. Well, is it really going to make any money? And this, that, and the other. I'm like, are you kidding me here? Dude, we had a deal. Done. I'm not promoting this. I'm not doing this. Not doing it. That put another sour note into the music thing for me. I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this no more, blah, blah, blah. So that was in between the Lakeview thing. In between that is when I, after I created the album, 13 songs and whatnot, I think me and P split from, a duo thing. And I was like, I'm just going to do my thing. I'm just going to, I'm capable of singing 6-part harmonies. I'm capable of doing lead vocals. I can produce my own stuff. And I'm just going to do that and buy my own equipment, this, that, and the other. By then, I had met Chris, a.k.a. Fama. Fama introduced me to Jen, and I think Jen had just arrived from the East Coast. Coolest dude I ever met. Straight up, loved his energy, and he had it. He had that hip hop, the music you've heard on It's On and Do the Damn Thing. He had it. I was like, this guy knows what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. He's like, yo, Patty's got the voice. We're gonna do this. And our energy and our vibe just resonated, and we did it. And we've done a lot of music over the years. But I was more into once, and here's the thing. When I decided to move to LA, by the time I decided to move to LA, I had already started to produce my own music in addition to what Jen and I had created. But by the time I got to LA, they were on this neo soul. Music was changing. It had gone from CDs to MP3s overnight. MySpace, if you were an artist, an independent artist, you had a MySpace page and you had fans. There was no Facebook. There was no Instagram. There was Yahoo Personals. There was MySpace. There was BET Shine. That's a whole nother story. And that's how, as an artist, that's how you got your music out. Oh, and Tonos. Babyface had, I believe it's called Tonos. Babyface had a site called Tonos. If you was an independent artist, you got to submit your music and it would be played all over the world. So there's some of the music that I created actually was being played somewhere in Jamaica somewhere. This guy hit me up. He's like, dude, man, I love your music. Your stuff is good. I'm hearing it over here. This was in early 2000, people. Early freaking 2000. When I saw that my music was being played in another country and me not being a signed artist. Here's the other thing, too. I want to tell you about this. I wasn't a signed artist because in between everything I just explained to you, guys, I'd read this book. Dex had turned me onto this book called Everything You Want to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman. I read this book, and I think what he said in the beginning, in the foreword, was that, don't read the whole book through. Read it, a little bit at a time. Take it in. It's a lot to digest. Hard-headed, I end up reading the entire book in less than a week's time because I was so enthralled with what he was saying. It was stuff that I knew about the music industry when it came to royalties and rights and management, and I just got this epiphany about all the artists before who had came generations before, how they were getting ripped. I was like, so this means that Michael Jackson's been creating all this music and he's only getting like 5 cents. Now, I'm just making an example, but Michael Jackson was definitely getting more than 5 cents. But in the earlier days of the Jackson 5 and the Smokey Robinsons and all the bands, these guys were not getting paid. They were not getting paid for their artistry. Do you know what that feels like to not get paid for the work that you do when you go into the studio? I don't care if it takes you 5 minutes to create a song, but it doesn't. Real artists take longer than that. I mean, you can come up with the concept of the song, but you're going to go back and tweak it and master it and pan vocals here, there, and everywhere. But to go through live music process and not get paid and be like 5 cents for a song per whatever, pay to play. I remember tossing a book across the room is like, yo, I will never sign to a major label ever. And at that time, I saw the technology emerging. I saw where MP3s were now becoming a thing. I saw where CDs and CD technology would be obsolete soon. So I was already ahead of the game. And reading this book just opened my brain, opened up another part of my brain, other parts of my brain to what's possible. That's why when people would hear my music and they would, I would sing somewhere, oh, are you signed? I was like, why would I sign? Why would I ever sign to, why would I do that? Unless, I find me a lawyer first. Find me a lawyer, and then he can talk to their lawyer, and then we'll talk about signing. But you're not going to shelf my project. You're not going to shelf my music. You're not going to pay me 5 cents for a song. Are you kidding me? So now we're in 2019. To be an artist, to be a musician, to be a person with a talent, with your voice. That's why it's called the Intelligent Human Voice Podcast Network. With these tools at your disposal that's been condensed down to a cell phone that you can carry in your back pocket, you are now in total control of your creative abilities and artistry. All you need is people to listen and download. That's it. You don't need middlemen. The art has gotten to the point, whether you draw, whether you sing, whether you play music, it's come down to that. That is the evolution of change in the music industry right now today. You are in total control. I'm in total control of my own radio show right now as a broadcaster. Somewhere in another country, and the fact that they've SpaceX and Virgin have shot you don't know this, if you don't know, satellites that are now going to have the internet in space, no longer the towers, the new web. Do you know what that means? That means your podcast, your music can now go into areas that it has never been able to reach before. That's big. That's big, y'all. That's big. I've seen the future, and it is bright. It is bright for young artists. So if you have a child that is creative, that can sing, that can do what they do best, that God has put into them to sing, the last thing you want to do is lock them into any kind of contract to control their creative spirit. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. Buy the equipment. Create their podcasts. They can play their music. They can create their own fans. They can find their own fans. They can do their own thing. They can monetize. They can make their own money. Done. It's done. It's enough for everybody on here. And I'm tired of people saying that there isn't enough. I'm tired of all the complaining and the moaning and the groaning. Get about yourself. Get about your thing. If you are really a creative spirit, and I know you are, you're a part of God. You're part of, we were all part. Who is this calling me right now? That's my ringer right here.
Ring. I guess I better answer that. Ring.
So if you ever call me, that's what my ringer sounds like. I can't answer the phone because I'm in the middle of a podcast. I would normally put that on mute and vibrations, but whatever. You can do that when you have your own show. I'm going to end this now. Before I'm going to make Barry Long another subject. You don't have to wait for me. Search Barry Long on YouTube and find out what I'm talking about to regards of thinking, shutting that thinking mind down and becoming the person that you need to become, because you're not the person that you're supposed to become. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. I mean, I know I had a lot of stuff in my head, and I'm glad it's done. So on that note, this is the Intelligent Human Voice Podcast Network. I'm your host, the PatMan, from the Bay to LA and beyond, baby. I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for listening. You can listen to this again if you want to, because I'm going to make it so you can download it. Now, in the future, you won't be able to download these podcasts because I need to monetize. I need to make some money too. I need to monetize, but I got some good stuff lined up for you, some information all over the place. Like I said, I've been working since I was 16 in various industries throughout the country, mostly in California, maybe one time in Chicago. And I have a lot of information to share with you, and I want to share it because you need to hear it and know what's possible through you, through God, through the consciousness, through spirit, through that stuff that's good and right, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I want to help you, to help me, to help you, to help us. How about that? This has been the Intelligent Human Voice Podcast Network. Peace, love, namaste, namasta, namu akusa. Namaste, namasta, namu akusa. Namaste, namasta, namu akusa. Don't steal my stuff. That's I got that on here. Namaste, namasta, namu akusa. Peace, love. I'm out.